And we're doing some Ski-Erg testing today. And Ski-Erg, of course, is the first station in Hyrox, and it's really important to be able to do this station in an efficient manner. And today we're testing to be able to see how good we are at Ski-Erg. And what we're going to do, we're going to do some sprints. So what you're seeing us doing now is some 30-second intervals. We're also going to do a 1-minute interval as well as a 6-minute interval. And the idea is to try and identify what our current power curve is for the Ski-Erg. And these are some numbers, these are some metrics that we're going to be able to try and improve going forward. And we're just there completing the first 30-second interval. That one was done with a split of 1 minute and 37 seconds per 500 meters. And that's the thing that we're tracking. We're trying to track that 500-meter split. And the idea is that with increased training, we're going to be able to try and bring that split down. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. A 30-second all-out effort is actually quite hard. And then we're going to do one more 30-second interval. Okay, so we've just taken a 3-minute break to recover, and now we're back into a 1-minute interval. So we're doubling the time duration here, and we want to see the impact that this has on our ability to sustain power. So it's going to be a slower pace than what we held for the 30 seconds, but hopefully it won't slow down by that much. And Owen there in the background, he's actually a little bit of a better Ski-Erg athlete than I am, so consistently over this testing, he's been able to hold a slightly higher power than I've been able to. And we're now coming up to the end of that effort, and it was done in a time of 1 minute and 42 per 500 meters. So the pace has dropped by 5 seconds per 500 meters. That's still okay, and this is going to be one of those metrics that we're tracking to try and see how our fitness improves. And we took another 3-minute rest, and now it's time for the final interval. And this is probably the one that is most relevant for Hyrox. We're going to be doing a 6-minute effort, and the idea is to try and get as much distance as possible to try and hold as strong a pace as possible. And this is probably going to replicate race pace pretty well, especially since we're already pre-fatigued. So we're both pre-fatigued, and then this is also going to be longer than race distance as well. And you can notice that heart rate there on the left-hand side. So right now I'm in 140s for heart rate. So my max heart rate goes up to 186. So this is roughly in zone 3, but it will be pushing up towards a max heart rate by the end of this 6-minute effort. So here's the thing about Ski-Erg. So typically you can't save that much time on the Ski-Erg. There's a relatively compressed range of times that people tend to fall in. So in my division, in the men's pro division, it tends to be somewhere between a 3:45 and a 4:30 pace, and maybe 90% of athletes are going to fall in that range. So there really isn't that much of an opportunity to save time. However, after the Ski-Erg comes the sleds. So it's good to be efficient at the Ski-Ergs so that you can move with as much energy as possible into the sleds. So I'm now about 1 minute and 30 seconds into this 6-minute effort. So about a quarter of the way through, and you can see that the heart rate has already started to rise. It's starting to approach that 160 beat per minute. And during a race, I'm trying to hold my heart rate below 170 as I go into the Ski-Erg. So this is slightly below threshold pace. It's slightly below the heart rate that I average for a half marathon. And the idea is that I don't want to spike my heart rate too quickly on the first station, especially since there isn't that much of an opportunity to save time. And we're now coming up to the end of the 6-minute interval, and for me, it's going to result in a 2:05 minute per 500 meter split. And that is roughly around my current race pace for the Hyrox SkiErg. And I am relatively weak at the SkiErg, but this gives the benchmark now. So we can create a plot, and this is the current plot of my Ski-Erg ability. So we had 3 efforts there. We had the 30-second effort, we had the 1-minute effort, and we had the 6-minute effort. And you can see how my pace decreases with increased time. And this is a very typical relationship in endurance sports. The longer the duration, the slower the intensity. So for 30 seconds, I could hold a 134 pace, and for 6 minutes, I could only hold a 205 pace. And what I'm hoping is that with more training, this entire curve is going to shift upwards. So, in other words, I'm going to be able to hold a faster pace for the 30 seconds, for the 1 minute, and for the 6 minute interval. And ultimately, it's that 6 minute interval that's probably going to translate most into the Hyrox race pace. So, just to summarize the protocol one more time, we did two 30-minute intervals. We then did one 1 minute interval, and we did one 6 minute interval as well. We took the best 30-second interval as our 30-second effort, and of course, the other two, we just took those as our best efforts. And then we were able to plot this curve. So, I'm curious to see what you guys can do as well. I think this is a great benchmark test to evaluate your Ski-Erg power curve. And in terms of training, you can look at this a couple of ways. You can try and improve that max power effort, or you can directly try and improve the efficiency at the longer effort. I think both are going to be beneficial. At this point, I'm 12 weeks out from my next Hyrox, so I'm probably going to prioritize more the power end of the curve, at least to begin with. So I want to improve that 30-second and that 1 minute ability, and I think that will translate a little bit towards the 6 minute ability. But then as I get closer to the event, I'm going to try and bend up the long end of the curve as well, and that might look more like 800 meters to 1K intervals, and just trying to accumulate as much volume as possible to try and develop that local muscular endurance.
How was it? I think I went out too hard. I was at like 150s, but with the pre-fatigue of the other sets, I just died.
The pre-fatigue does make the 6 minute interval very tough, but in some ways that does replicate the Hyrox. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. We're going to do some more testing for some of the other stations as well, but hopefully this gives you a sense for how to evaluate your Ski-Erg strengths. Let me know if you end up doing the testing, share your numbers in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.